One question that most master's students from India worry about is if their 3-year bachelor's degree that they have, will that be eligible for them to do a master's here in the US? This is a great question. The answer to this is it depends on the university. Now, more and more universities are now making it accessible for international students to come to the US to procure their master's education. And so these universities have now allowed for 3-year bachelor's degrees to be accepted. Most of the Ivy League schools, the Harvards and MITs, Yale, they all allow 3-year bachelor's degrees to be eligible to apply for master's programs. But many of the other universities don't. So you have to go and investigate this. Find the universities that you'd like to apply to. However, I also do want to provide a caveat that it still determines on what kind of program you're applying to at these universities. They may have program level differentiation in terms of what they will accept and what they will reject in terms of your bachelor's degree. So you want to make it program specific. Look at specifically what program requirements they're stating. Now, on top of all of this, you can go ahead and look at some degree equivalence programs out there. So when you do a credential evaluation, and some universities will be very blatantly clear that they want you to do a credential evaluation. There's a couple of different sources for that, and you can go and check out their websites. One is World Educational Services, WES. The other one is called IERF. You can go and do credential evaluation, which is actually a paid service. But sometimes you can just check for degree equivalency. On the WES website, you can go and see if they recognize your university back home in country. Not every university is listed, but you can check to see if they have that degree course listed. A good example is a 3-year degree at the University of Delhi is equivalent to a 4-year degree program here in the US. So it depends on where you've chosen to do your bachelor's degree.
And that's because your bachelor's degree equivalency assessment is predicated on 2 separate criteria. What we're looking at here is how the World Education Services does credential evaluation, and which is the same methodology that's followed by most US universities and other credential evaluation services. So the criteria is as follows. Criteria number 1 is whether or not the student has received their degree in at least Division 1. From a grade standpoint, what that means is have you scored at least 60 percentile or higher. Now, most of us would be able to satisfy this criteria quite easily, but it's that second criteria which could be a bit problematic, and it's the one that we don't really have much control over. That criteria is around what university did we get our bachelor's degree from, and whether or not that university is accredited by India's NAAC. NAAC stands for National Assessment and Accreditation Council. The NAAC has to give that university a grade of A or better for that bachelor's degree to be equivalent to a 4-year degree in the US. The NAAC was formed by the University Grants Commission in 1994, and the mission of the National Assessment and Accreditation Council is to accredit institutions in India based on a variety of different factors, from curriculum to teaching to student assessment to infrastructure and resources and student support. And what you can see in this table is universities are provided a grade based on all those different factors we've talked about. So if your university is graded and accredited at a grade of A or above, then that university and the bachelor's degree from that university will be equivalent to that 4-year degree in the US. Now, assuming that you've got a grade of 60 percentile or higher. What that means is if those 2 criteria is met, you can essentially apply to all of the universities in the US. Now, how do you determine if your university is of that accreditation status? Well, you can go on to the NAAC.gov website listed here. Notice that second link, which is institutions with valid accreditation. You can click on that and you can download this pretty expansive Excel file. There's over 5,000 different universities listed there. Notice there's two tabs. There's a college tab and a university tab, and you can see which state these universities and colleges are, what the actual cumulative GPA given to that university, and what that grade is. Now, very quickly, if you search for your university, and I'm going to pick an example here. Let's actually pick the SRCC, the Sri Ram College of Commerce within the Delhi University framework. And when you search for that, you can see that university has received an institutional grade of an A+, which is fantastic. Now, if a student has scored 60 percentile or above, also called as Division 1, in their final grades, now they can apply to just about any university because their degree is equivalent to a 4-year bachelor's degree in the US. Let's pick another example. What if I'm going to search for an example from back home in my home state, Sri Narayana College in Thrissur district. And if I search for that, what I can see here is the institutional grade awarded by the NAAC in India is only a B. So if I have a degree from this university, no matter what my percentile would have been, my degree is not equivalent to a 4-year bachelor's degree. And so then I have to find perhaps a bridge program to get that additional year so that I can qualify for my master's degree.
You can also write a note to the universities and ask if your degree will be accepted. The problem is that most will give you a standard answer and say, sorry, we don't accept a 3-year degree. So in the case of University of Delhi, where that 3-year degree counts as a 4-year degree equivalent in the US, the university will outrightly say, sorry, we only accept 4-year degrees. And so you may not choose to apply to the university because you've just heard back from the university. But with the credential evaluation, that university could have been a great choice for you. So I think doing the credential evaluation may be a good step in terms of understanding what options you have. You don't have to do it. You can clearly email the university and ask them, and they should respond back. But just know that they don't really know the ins and outs of every single university back home in country, but the credential evaluators will be able to do it. So that's where I would lean towards and provide the advice in terms of what universities you should apply to.